A recent rise in arson cases.
Across much of the south and northeast are cleaning up today following extreme weather. I'm Laura Podesta, and I'll show you the worst of the damage from Missouri to Massachusetts.
Also, startups take aim at your daily commute with flying cars.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Miami police are preparing for a change that they say will provide a faster response and better service to county residents. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Tapping our first 7 minutes. Starting Monday, all public safety communications in Ottawa County will run through a single dispatch center. Miami, Oklahoma Police Department says if you dial 911 for an emergency anywhere in Ottawa County, the Miami PD will dispatch officers for your jurisdiction. City of Joplin sees an increased number of suspected arsons. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with Captain William Davis on recent arson reports, as well as a Joplin store owner who was affected by one of the fires.
The city of Joplin is experiencing an increased number of suspected arsons in the area. All are either arson in the first or second degree. When contacting the Joplin Police Department to understand what they're seeing when it comes to these crimes, Captain Davis says he was unable to do an interview on the topic, but was able to give us details on 7 out of the 22 incidents. So far, one he has given us details on has resulted in an arrest. Christopher L. Smith of Joplin has been charged with arson in the first degree, as well as 6 counts of child endangerment after using a butane lighter to set the window frame of a residence on fire. According to Davis, Smith was suicidal, and police responded to that call a day before his arrest. Davis tells us Smith got into an argument with his girlfriend, then tried to self-harm and left the residence. He then came back early in the morning and tried to get in before setting a fire. A separate fire at 4th and Grand hasn't resulted in any arrests, but did concern the store owner of B&B Discount.
Went to shut the door and I had 15-foot flames coming out of my dumpster out in the alleyway. Wasn't nobody around except for one guy down on the opposite end of the alley.
The fire came from a dumpster behind the store, and according to JPD, that case is closed and no arrests have been made. According to Davis, some other area fires included 2 at 12th and Byers, as well as a shed on Empire Street. But the store owner says the fires worry him to be in Joplin.
There's a lot of arson stuff going around. That makes me worry about my family members and my friends.
In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Well, if you want rain, we got it yesterday and today so far. Let's go to Michael Hayslip to find out how much longer it's going to keep coming down.
How much time you got? All the way through tonight into tomorrow morning, Miss Bach. Here we are on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, as the problem being it's just coming in from the north now that it's stalled out overnight. Still seeing some heavier rain for our far northern counties in southeast Kansas, as well as right along the Oklahoma-Missouri state line, making its way from Ottawa County into Newton County and then down to McDonald County as well. We're pushing easily 3 inches here in just the last couple of days alone. Watches and warnings. We've been able to lift our flood watch that was in effect for the Little Osage River in Vernon County, but the wind advisory, it will stay in effect until later tonight. Look at what's happening out to the west. Independence 30 miles an hour, Chanute 22. And as we get into the afternoon hours, especially later afternoon, we're going to see that Grove, Joplin, Nevada line just kind of repeat that 30 to 35 mile an hour wind speed. Here's a look at our temperatures right now. They have not budged. We knew it was just going to be stagnant as can be for the second consecutive day. And so you factor in that wind coming out of the north, and there's actually a little wind chill in effect. Dropped as low as 45 degrees earlier in Joplin. And overnight, we could even be looking at wind chills as low as 38. But more importantly, overnight, how about our rain? Well, there you go. After the kids get off school and you get ready to go home, rain's still coming down. Now, we don't see the yellow or the orange, so at least we're headed in the right direction. But as we turn a new day into Friday, we're still going to anticipate rains to the central and eastern portion of the 4 states for tomorrow morning's commute. Now, eventually, we're going to dry out a little bit Friday afternoon and still setting up for a delightful weekend. But tell you what, nationally speaking, It's been a wild one. Just rain for us, but tornado watches and warnings throughout the southeast, and also a mess now clearing out of the northeast. Tanya, I know you've got the latest on the national perspective.
That's right, and originally I had that story next, but I accidentally made a quick change. We're going to talk about the White House and Democratic
We can talk about
lawmakers.
that as well.
Yes, sorry about that. White House and Democratic lawmakers in the House and Senate appear to be on the verge of a deal to pass a roughly $2 trillion spending bill. President Biden arrived on Capitol Hill to let House Democrats know there is a deal on his Build Back Better agenda that he says every Democrat in the Senate will support. But not every Senate Democrat shares his confidence. The line of the $1.75 trillion plan includes universal pre-K for all 3- and 4-year-olds. It extends the child tax credit for another 6 years, and it reduces health care premiums bought through the Affordable Care Act. The bill does not include a national paid family leave proposal, nor does it include free community college or the tax on billionaires. Republicans are opposed to the spending plan, saying it will increase inflation and hurt the economy. The plan calls for a minimum 15% tax for corporations with more than $1 billion in profits. Individuals earning more than $10 million a year would see a 5% tax hike, and those earning more than $25 million would pay an additional 3% in taxes. Of course, we'll have more on this tonight at 5. Well, a nasty nor'easter tears up the Northeast, and communities in the South are rocked by another round of tornadoes. CBS News' Laura Podesta shows us the damage nearly a week's worth of extreme weather has caused across the country.
Take a look at this twister bearing down on portions of Orange County, Texas yesterday. And this is the aftermath. Homes in the town of Morrisville decimated. 45 minutes away in Lake Charles, Louisiana, more destruction from the same storm system. At least one person was rushed to the hospital with injuries. All this after a weekend that saw several tornadoes sweep through the Midwest.
Right now we're homeless. I have a 29-year-old with autism that his world has been rocked. I have to try to keep his routine. It's very hard.
In Missouri, a confirmed EF3 tornado ripped through homes, businesses, and power lines in Fredericktown on Sunday. A twister with that rating can bring winds up to 165 miles per hour. In the Northeast, residents today are cleaning up after the season's first nor'easter.
A transformer blew.
A fire erupted from an exploding transformer in the city of Brockton, Massachusetts, sending flames down power lines. And Massachusetts governor says hundreds of thousands lost power on Cape Cod.
Folks should remember the storm isn't finished and crews are working to make roadways and other infrastructure safe.
And though the nor'easter is moving away from shore now, another storm is predicted to follow in its wake. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Well, that second storm will likely not be a nor'easter, but still impact the region locally with heavy rainfall and gusty winds both tomorrow and Saturday. In the south, the severe weather remains a threat across the Gulf Coast through today. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, a Japanese startup is targeting the super rich with its $700,000 hover bike. We take you on a ride. And later, we're making spicy roasted pumpkin seeds in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Well, if you're sick of sitting in traffic on your way to work, one Japanese startup might have a solution. It's part of a push to design new ways to get you in the air. And it's happening sooner than you might think. CBS's Ian Lee reports.
This could be your next commute for a cool $700,000. Hover bikes from a Japanese startup are now on sale to carry travelers above the daily congestion. Until now, we could only move on ground or at scale in the sky, says the company's CEO. We hope to offer a new method by hovering in the air. The electric bikes can travel 40 minutes at up to 60 miles per hour. Right now, one of the main obstacles to getting off the ground isn't the technology, it's government regulation and safety concerns. But in Italy, one German startup, Volocopter, sees blue skies ahead for its flying taxis.
This is our goal in the next 2 to 3 years to get the commercial license from the European Aviation Safety Agency to then start our commercial operations.
The battery-powered taxis use 18 motors to lift 2 passengers and their luggage into the air, offering a ride to the airport above Rome's notoriously bad traffic.
The time for connection will be probably 15 minutes, maybe a bit more, but of course much less than what you will do with a normal taxi.
But not the fare. A ticket is expected to cost about $175 per person, putting a price on peace of mind and showing the sky is no longer the limit, just an easier way to get around. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Volocopter hopes to see its flying taxis moving passengers around cities worldwide by the end of the decade. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Crunchy, salty. Ooh, it's so good.
Join me today as we have a pumpkin-licious time.
But first, Michael Aislip returns with your complete forecast.
Well, no thunder, no lightning, but if you're going to throw 3 days of rain at us and combine that with 40-mile-an-hour winds at the end of October, it's going to be ready for a break by the time we get to the weekend. Unfortunately, yeah, we're going to just about have to wait to the weekend before it finally lets up. Still have the heavy rain in the northern portion of southeast Kansas. Pretty much showers everywhere else. Nothing like the hard band that we saw earlier that made its way through the central part. But now we're getting a little bit of an uptick right here along the Ottawa-Delaware County line that's making its way into both Newton and McDonald County in southwest Missouri. Took the rain totals back since Saturday, and the reason I wanted to do that is I know we had a little break in between there, but you have to remember over the weekend, that's when we had the record-breaking rainfall at Joplin Regional Airport, particularly on Saturday. So when we factor in the past, say 6-7 days, that's when we're pushing about 5.5 inches on this line of red right here. Everybody else easily sitting around 3 inches. And when we talk about our daily almanac, well, at Joplin Regional Airport, coming off of what we've had this week, the yearly total now up to 42 inches. Now that's just above 3 inches above normal. But if we transition out to Chanutes Airport, we're talking about 10 inches above normal if we go back to January 1. And remember, we got a day and a half left. Interestingly enough, the flood watch that was in effect for the Little Osage River in Vernon County, that has been allowed to expire. The hydrograph showing that it's expected to crest around 39 feet on Saturday. Flood stage isn't until 41. That's why that was taken off, even with additional rainfall through tonight and into tomorrow. That being said, we cannot escape the wind advisories that last all the way into tonight, especially out to the west. Those are sustained winds, 30 miles an hour in Independence, 22 in Chanute, with the heavy wind moving from west to east through the portions of the later afternoon and evening hours. Last gust we picked up at Joplin Regional Airport, 26 miles per hour. No wind chill in effect right now, but we will overnight into tomorrow, that is for sure. Temperatures haven't budged. These are exactly about what they read pre-sunrise, so no worries as far as a massive cold front moving through, but also too, the jet stream, it just keeps all the warmer air down to our south. So what happened is we had a low pressure system that just stalled out, and it stalled out just to the east of us. Big north-south line, as a matter of fact. And when we look at the trough of the jet stream, look at how it just mimics that all the way to the Great Lakes. And so imagine it just kind of acting as a blocker. And so what did it do? Stopped everything, threw it up to the north. Where's it going to go from there? Going to ride the jet stream, fall right back down on us. That's why we've got another day and a half left of this. Now, the severe weather for the contiguous 48 for today really limited down to the southeastern portion of the United States, but they're talking about tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings ranging all the way through Florida. As far as the severe thunderstorm risk map goes, we can kind of isolate that low category to the mid-Atlantic and in Florida. And got to remember, the reason we don't pop up, showers. We haven't had any thunder, we haven't had any lightning, and categorically, we've had non-thunderstorm winds. Non-thunderstorm winds, those don't qualify you to show up on the severe thunderstorm risk map. Doesn't mean that flooding and winds aren't an issue though. Weather trend for today, like I said, temperature's not going anywhere, rain not going anywhere. So here we go, just keeps on pouring over on itself. But then by the time we get into Friday morning, still need the umbrella for the commute. Friday afternoon, finally, then we're clearing off. And Tanya, if we're going to clear off like that, why don't we warm it up for the kiddos? It's been just horrific for them to even get to the bus stop and get to school here on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning. Let's give them 62, sunny skies, and a wonderful evening to trick or treat.
That would be nice. Looking forward to it.
Mother Nature's like, I'm going to get it out of my system here middle of the week. That way you kiddos and parents escorting kiddos, you're good to go.
Just a warning, a lot of kids are going to be going to school tomorrow morning in their costumes, so they're going to cover those.
Bundle up.
It's cold
Bundle
and rainy.
up.
protect those costumes so they look perfect on
right.
Sunday. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Specialist Orville Jordan in the U.S. Army. The soldier hails from Neosho, Missouri. During the Vietnam War, Jordan served near the DMZ with the job of driving high-ranking government officials. He also delivered a baby in the back of a Jeep. Specialist Jordan earned the Bronze Star, the Vietnam Cross of Gallantry, and the Presidential Unit Citation. To Orville Jordan, we thank you, our four-state hero. Well, don't toss out the seeds the next time you carve a pumpkin. Today, Howard shows us how to make spicy roasted pumpkin seeds in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
I just finished carving my pumpkin, and I have a bowl of seeds and the meat, the gooey part of the pumpkin. So what I want to do is I want to separate the fleshy part from the seeds so we can roast them. And a little secret that I found, if you take the bowl and you fill it with water, what happens is the pumpkin seeds will actually float to the top. Then we just stir that around, and then with our hands, we can just take them off, put them in a colander to make sure they're strained well. This is a lot easier than trying to fish it out one by one, that's for sure. Now we dump these onto a baking sheet, and if you have a little bit of the pumpkin like you see, that's not a problem at all. We just spread these out, drizzle them with a little bit of olive oil, or you could use butter, that's up to you. A little bit of salt. You can use pepper, you can use cinnamon, so whatever you really want. Maybe you want to make them a little spicy, that's up to you. Stir them around, make sure you get a nice single layer, and then into a 350-degree oven it goes for about 35 to 40 minutes.
Do these ever look good or what? And to think, some people just throw those out. Why would you? When these are so easy to make. Maybe top our salads or soups with them. To get the recipe for our spicy roasted pumpkin seeds, all you have to do is go to our website.
I'm just going to sneak some. Crunchy, salty. Ooh, it's so good.
Looks good. Here's a look at our four-state market prices.
Rain falling all through tonight into Friday morning, and while we don't have any flood watches, please remember wind advisory sticks around until 10 p.m. tonight, already blowing about 30 miles per hour. Let's get through tonight, tomorrow morning, then we can get ready for an actual legitimate sunshiny weekend.
That'd be nice for sure.
What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, a new test looks at how 20 different SUVs perform in a side crash, why only one got a top grade. Plus, a look at Mercy Hospital employee numbers for those who chose to be vaccinated under the vaccine mandate. And meet a McDonald County senior making sure local kids have costumes this Halloween. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's all coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right. Thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.